What's going on, guys? Hey, today we've got a fragrance from the house of Nishane. Is this considered niche? I think so. But the fragrance we're going to cover is one that everybody's had their eye on. It might not be the most popular in terms of names being thrown around in the Nishane house, but certainly most reviewers that you come across with large channels have come across this fragrance, and most of them have good things to say. But what do I have to say about it? All right, welcome to the Scent Bubble. I am your host for the day. It's kind of rare that I get an episode in during the day, but without no further ado, I just realized I don't have a test strip. But the fragrance we are going to talk about today is Nishane's Wulóng Cha. This is not the X version. This is the standard straight to parfum version. Let me grab a test strip real quick. Okay, so most of the time when we talk about Nishane, I've heard of a couple of names being thrown around. Obviously, the number one is probably Hasavat, because so many people throw around the name of Creed Aventus, and this is what many would consider to be the more upscale, Ritz, and more dimensional take on the Aventus pineapple, smoky birch DNA. Because it provides a lot more oak moss and a little bit more sophistication on the underbelly of the fragrance. However, that's not the fragrance we're going to be covering today. We're going to be covering Wulóng Cha. A couple other ones is, I think, Fan the Flames or something like that. And then there's a couple of other ones, Ani. But yeah, anyways, without further ado, let's get an initial impressions on this fragrance. I'm curious to know when this fragrance came out, just because it's just something good to know. See how old or new of a fragrance it is. It looks like it came out around 2015. And yeah, I don't really know what to expect with a name like Wulóng Cha. I mean, I would think, I don't know, stuff that comes to my mind is like maybe simple fruits and herbals and things like that. Tea and whatnot. But we're going to see. In the air, I get citrus. Like fresh, photorealistic citrus. And as I'm presenting, I see my coffee in the corner and I'm just like, yo, I want to sip that. Oh man, I've needed a coffee all day. That felt good. Okay, so like I said, citrus all up top. What kind of citrus? It seems mostly like a super real organic lemon note. That's what I'm getting. And okay. When you have cleaning supplies, you know, multi-surface spray cleaner, this feels like a lemon version of an organic and expensive lemon-based multi-purpose cleaner. It's very fresh, it's very open, but there's also this kind of, I don't necessarily know if the term is medicinal or chemical, not synthetic, but just the thing that's sitting behind the lemon feels very either green or herbaceous, natural. This is all natural ingredients type of fragrance, but I am getting a heavy dose of lemon. So I would say in a nutshell, this is like 70% a slightly sweet, organic lemon note with maybe a mixture of tea or greenery, like fresh greens, you know, that kind of wheatgrass shot wheat greenery, you know, for lack of better words. I'm trying to put your head in the fragrance. And yeah, so those three, but the dominant note, 70% being about lemon, 30% being something else going on in the background. Not super complex, but just tinging the lemon with herbal or fresh green. Let's go ahead and switch screens here so we can get a little bit of a clarification on this DNA. Let's see what the designers say. Okay, up top we have bergamot, orange, mandarin orange, Litsi Kuba. What's that? Citrus smells. A lemon-like sharp fresh smell with a sweet undertone. Just based off that description alone, guys, I 100% feel like this is the dominance of the citrus up top. I don't really feel bergamot the way I'm used to getting it. And I don't even quite get orange at all. Now in the mid, this oolong, tea, and nutmeg. I totally get oolong. And in the base, it says there's fig. Yeah, not really. I mean, when you think fig here, don't think Vintage Green 78 fig. Don't think Dolce & Gabbana K fig. Don't think sea salt and fig. This is not the... Normally, when we're used to seeing fragrances, or at least me and my fragrance journey so far, we're used to getting this very dominant fig note where fig makes up somewhere between 40 to 70% of a fragrance. This fig feels more 5%, to be honest. This is almost non-existent fig, but maybe the fig note here is just tinging, which I kind of like because I'm used to getting a fig overdose, you know, even with the Mancera fragrances and stuff like that. But this is very fresh, and it's very much based around a note of lemon tea and maybe some musky fig on the bottom. It feels very fresh. It feels it feels very much like lemongrass. It's very fresh and very nice. Again, I think what it's going to come down to with this fragrance is price point. You know, how much money do you want to spend for this lemongrass, hyper fresh, linen-y type of fragrance? Again, the tea note kind of makes it interesting. I love Oolong tea, by the way. It is absolutely fire. But you know, with the tinge of tea and slight fig, but mostly lemon, it's almost like can you justify? I definitely can't justify a 100 ml bottle. Maybe a 50 ml. I think out of all of the linen and lemon based fragrances I've tried thus far on the channel, this is the best. And rightfully so. You're paying for it. Fragrances like this can run upwards of, let's see what Max Aroma's charging for it. Man, it's crazy, the prices on this fragrance. 50 ml is 121. 100 ml is 154. So, I mean, it's a little bit above designer price. I mean, and it is even designer price to an extent. But, yeah, you know, yeah, guys. I mean, it just depends. I would say if you lean in the direction of clean, light on the skin, I think this is going to perform really well, actually, despite it being so light and fresh, just because you're paying for an upper scale fragrance. But yeah, guys, I do think it's really good. It's a really, when you think about the fact of like, this is just something I'm thinking about out loud. Okay, so I own Coach Open Road. I have all the CK fragrances, 1B, all. I have Banana Republic 90 Pure White. I have the Linen Vetiver. You know, I have a ton of powdery clean linen, slight white floral, tea note, lemon based fragrances. You know, you have your Armaf Très Nuit, you've got your Club de Nuit Sillage, you've got your Silver Mountain Water. This is in the vein of all of those, but even fresher, even more real. This is the highest resolution to those type of profiles. And from that standpoint, it's almost like rather than buying multiple bottles of that DNA, if you need like a really good fresh utility fragrance, you know, spending the $150 for the 100 ml of Wulóng Cha makes a lot of sense. But in the context of building your collection and everything and how simple this DNA is, I don't care how fresh and as good as it is, you might have to sit there and think for a second, well, you know, maybe I either consolidate all of those DNAs and just get something like Wulóng Cha and it'll have an insane amount of utility, and you'll even be the freshest representation when it comes to people trying to come across with that DNA. Or you forego the money entirely for the sake of, oh wow, my little light went out. Give me a quick second, guys. Not going to be as bright of a light, but we do have a backup here. Let's go ahead and turn that towards me. Beautiful. Okay. Yeah, so it just comes down to how many bottles you want. You know, if you want one bottle of Wulóng Cha will buy you Afnan Supremacy in Heaven, Armaf Très Nuit, 90 Pure White, Calvin Klein The One, and Coach Open Road. You can have all of those for the price of Wulóng Cha, and you'll have a little bit of nuance with all of those fragrances, leaning in the direction of fresh, clean linen, fresh, clean floral, or fresh, clean fruit, citric sweet. So that's really the decision that you have to make. Now, I teeter, to be honest. Like, sometimes I look at the DNAs on my shelf and I say, man, I would love to consolidate. You know, with fragrance collections, let me just say this. The grass is always greener on the other side, isn't it? You know what I'm saying? So sometimes I feel like, man, I just want more bottles because I like to have the decision making to be able to go into different bags. But then part of me right now, in context of the fact that I have all of these fresh fragrances, I'm smelling this and going, wow, you know, this smells extremely upscale. No one's going to quite smell like it. Anyone that has lemon or linen as a note in their fragrance, I'm going to dominate because this is just so much more real and juicy. You know, a lot of times you go with a fresh fragrance, you struggle with longevity and performance. This is not going to struggle with that. So there's a lot to be said about Wulóng Cha as being a super valid fragrance. In the context of building a collection, maybe not, or maybe you might just start with this, and then put it this way. If you start with Wulóng Cha, you won't really be buying all the rest of the ones I had mentioned. You might buy 1 or 2 extra bottles just to get in a different direction from lemon. But this is the best lemon I've ever smelled. There's some fragrances with yuzu lemon and stuff like that that are really, really, really close and nice and on par. But as far as all the fragrances on this channel that we've covered so far, this is the juiciest, realest, not insanely tart, not insanely sweet rendition of lemon. And it feels very Chinese or Asian, right? Like, not in the sense of like no funk or no like weird cultural thing. You know what I mean? I'm trying to find words here without being like coming off not the way I want to come off. But you know what I'm saying? Like, there's no like Chinese tinge to it, just in the sense of like, you feel like you're with a monk in the mountains at the highest peak, smelling their best cut lemon, and you're surrounded by fresh green grass and the wind is wafting crazy. But it is it is pungent and not light in the same way that something like 90 Pure White is, where 90 Pure White smells amazing, but it is very light and it's not the highest performing fragrance. It's just got a really stellar opening that you kind of have to reapply throughout the day. So yeah, context will matter in terms of determining whether or not you purchase this fragrance. As I'm processing through this out loud, I absolutely believe Wulóng Cha is worth the money. Now, the other kicker question is, we're not going to go over alternatives because I kind of went over them in just talking about my collection. But the other kicker question is X better? So I'm just curious here. Let's switch screens for half a second. Let's go back to Wulóng Cha and let's do the X version. So let's see if they put anything else new in it. So they did thyme and magnolia and yuzu. Okay, so they're just ramping up the lemon and maybe making it have a little bit more floral dimension to it. So yeah, you know, I might be interested down the road to try the X version. But that aside, this is a stellar fragrance. It's not going to knock your socks off, but in the freshy category, I think it is quite special. I give it a solid 9. It doesn't have the most amount of signature to the fragrance, which is the only reason I don't give it a 10, but it checks all of the boxes, you know, performance, longevity, projection, slight bit of uniqueness, very real. Slightly off the beaten path of quality from the more standardized versions. Like, it does feel a little bit different. Its uniqueness comes from the fact that it's so fresh and it's so well done. Any season, any reason. For that reason, it gets points. Like I said, just it lacks a little bit of star power. Feels a bit organic. But it's such a good fragrance, I think. So I'm giving us, without question, a solid 9 around the board. And where you're at in your fragrance journey is going to determine whether or not you like this. If you're starting to build your collection and you are going to get Wulóng Cha, don't expect the moon and the stars, but just understand it's a freshie with charm, hyper utility fragrance, super fresh cut lemons, a little bit of tea, very fresh, grassy, airy, and leave it at that. Don't expect anything else with the fragrance, but in that realm of those ingredients, it is awesome. 10 out of 10 in that regard. Okay, guys, let me know if you guys have tried Wulóng Cha, if you've tried the extrait, or not the extrait, but the X version, to let me know, if that's better than this, or, you know what I'm saying, or what the nuances are. But make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. More importantly, turn on that notification bell so you can be in the loop. You can be in the scent bubble and interact with this amazing community that I appreciate so much. We're growing fast, guys. It's crazy, and it's exciting. But this was a review of Nishane's Wulóng Cha Extrait de Parfum, the first one, not the X version, and I think it's a banger. I think in its category, it's an absolute banger. And if it had a little more signature, it would certainly be a 10 out of 10 fragrance. In the freshies category with charm, I give it a 10 out of 10. So much utility, good uniqueness. It's not insanely, crazy. It just gets straight to the point and does what it does with a little bit of nice finesse in it. So this is the Scent Bubble. Y'all have a blessed week, and until next time, peace.